He always remembers how you take your coffee. He never raises his voice. He tells you, all the time, how lucky he is to have you. Everyone who meets him says the same thing. He's so nice. Your friends love him. Your family loves him. And on paper, you have nothing to complain about. So why do you feel small around him? Here's the uncomfortable truth we're going to unpack today. Some of the most controlling people you will ever meet don't yell. They don't threaten. They don't slam doors. They smile. They compliment you. They do favors for you that you didn't even ask for. And that is exactly what makes them so hard to spot. We've all been trained to watch out for the obvious red flags, the yelling, the insults, the control through fear. But there's a quieter kind of manipulation, one that hides behind kindness. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand something that might completely change how you see certain relationships in your life. Because niceness and love are not the same thing. Sometimes, niceness is a tool, a very effective one. Today, we're breaking down 5 signs that a person's kindness might actually be a strategy, not a personality trait. And stick around, because sign number 5 is the one almost nobody talks about, the one that shows up in the tiniest, most sweet moments, and it's often the clearest signal of all. We'll get there. Let's start with something that feels good in the moment, but sets up everything else. It usually starts here. Early on, this person showers you with compliments. Not the normal, "you look nice today" kind. We're talking about big statements. "I've never met anyone like you. You're different from everyone else I've dated. I feel like I've known you my whole life. It feels incredible." Of course it does. Someone is finally seeing you, appreciating you, telling you exactly what you've always wanted to hear. But here's the psychological pattern researchers call love bombing, and it's worth understanding closely, because it's not really about you at all. Genuine affection tends to build gradually. It grows as two people actually learn each other's flaws, habits, and history. But intense early flattery works differently. It skips that step entirely. It creates a feeling of closeness before real closeness has actually been earned. And once you feel that close to someone, you start lowering your guard faster than you normally would. Here's the part that's uncomfortable to hear. This isn't always conscious manipulation. Some people who do this genuinely believe they're being romantic. But whether it's intentional or not, the effect is the same. It creates a debt. You start to feel like you owe this person something because they've given you so much so soon. And that debt becomes very useful later. Because if flattery this intense was really about love, it would stay steady. It wouldn't come with strings attached. But in these dynamics, it often does. Which brings us to something even harder to notice, because it's disguised as generosity. This person does things for you. Little things and big things. They pick up your favorite snack on the way over. They fix your car without being asked. They pay for dinner every single time, even when you try to split it. On the surface, this looks like generosity, and sometimes it genuinely is. But watch what happens the first time you say no to something. The first time you decline an invite, or disagree with them, or simply don't have the energy to hang out. All those gifts get mentioned. After everything I've done for you. I drove 2 hours to see you, and this is how you treat me. I thought we were closer than this. And just like that, kindness has turned into currency. It was never free. It was a deposit into an account that you're now expected to repay, on demand, whenever they decide it's time to collect. This is what psychologists sometimes call reciprocity manipulation. It leans on a very real, very human instinct. The deep discomfort we feel when we think we owe someone something. Healthy people give without keeping score. But manipulative kindness keeps a ledger, even if they never say the numbers out loud. So here's a question worth sitting with. Does this person's kindness feel the same whether you say yes or no to them? Or does it only stay kind as long as you're agreeable? That single question can tell you more about a relationship than almost anything else. And it leads directly into our next sign, one that's even sneakier, because it doesn't look like control at all. It looks like concern. I just don't think that friend is good for you. Your family seems kind of toxic, honestly. I worry about you when you go out with them. At first, this sounds like someone who cares, someone who's paying attention. And to be fair, sometimes concern really is just concern. But here's the pattern to watch for. Over time, does the list of people this person worries about keep growing? Does it somehow always include the people closest to you, your best friend, your sister, your old college roommate? And does it never include the people who have no influence over you at all? This is a slow-motion version of isolation. It rarely happens all at once. Nobody says you're not allowed to see your friends anymore. Instead, it happens one gentle comment at a time, until you find yourself pulling away from people on your own, because it's easier than dealing with the guilt trip, the subtle jealousy, or the long conversation that follows every time you mention hanging out with someone else. And here's why this matters so much psychologically. The people around you are your reality check. They're the ones who might say, hey, that thing he said to you, that wasn't okay. When those voices get quieter, there's nobody left to challenge the version of reality this person is building for you. You start seeing things only through their lens. And once that happens, once you're relying mostly on their perspective to understand your own life, something even sneakier can start. It's the fourth sign, and it's the one that makes people question their own memory. Think about the last disagreement you had with this person. Not a huge blow-up, just a normal disagreement. How did it end? In most healthy relationships, conflict ends with some kind of resolution. Maybe an apology, maybe a compromise. You might still feel a little frustrated, but you understand what happened. Now, compare that to this pattern. You bring up something that hurt you. Somehow, by the end of the conversation, you're the one apologizing. You're not even sure what you're apologizing for. You just know the tension is gone, and it feels like a relief, so you take it. This is often a sign of a tactic sometimes called DARVO. It stands for deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. It usually plays out in 3 quiet steps. First, they deny that what you're describing even happened, or they downplay it completely. Second, they attack, but softly. You're too sensitive, or you always twist my words. And this is the part that really disorients people. They position themselves as the one who's actually hurt. Suddenly, you're comforting them. Notice what happened there. You started the conversation with a legitimate concern. You ended consoling the person who upset you. That flip is disorienting on purpose, even if the person doing it has convinced themselves it's not intentional. And when this happens over and over, something deeper starts to erode. Your trust in your own perception. You start a lot of sentences with, maybe I'm overreacting. You start doubting memories you were completely sure of 5 minutes ago. That erosion is the real damage. Not the argument itself, but what it does to your relationship with your own mind. And that brings us to the sign we promised at the start of this video. The quiet one. The one that doesn't look like manipulation at all. It looks like the sweetest thing they do. This is the sign most people miss, because it's not about what they do, it's about when they do it. Watch closely. Is this person warm and attentive around other people, but distant or dismissive the moment you're alone? Do they compliment you in front of friends, but criticize the exact same thing in private? Do they play the perfect, doting partner at family gatherings and then go quiet and cold on the car ride home? Here's why this detail matters more than almost anything else on this list. If kindness is genuine, it doesn't need an audience. It shows up the same way whether anyone's watching or not. But when kindness is a performance, it's built for a purpose. It's building your reputation for them. It's making sure that if you ever try to describe what's really happening behind closed doors, the people around you will say, that doesn't sound like him at all. He's so sweet to you. That's not a coincidence. That's the whole point. It's a kind of insurance policy. And it's often the very last piece of the puzzle that makes everything else on this list click into place. The flattery, the favors, the concern, the confusion after every fight. All of it starts to make sense once you realize the kindness was never really for you. It was for the story. So, here's the aha moment we've been building toward this whole video. Manipulation and kindness are not opposites. That's what makes this so hard to catch. A manipulative person doesn't need to be cruel to control you. In some ways, kindness works even better because it doesn't trigger your defenses. Nobody teaches you to be cautious around someone who's nice to you. We're taught the opposite. But real love and real kindness share one quality that manipulation can never fully copy. They stay consistent. They don't disappear the second you say no. They don't come with a price tag you find out about later. They don't need witnesses to be real. So what do you do with all of this? Start small. You don't need to confront anyone or make a big decision today. Just start paying attention to patterns instead of individual moments. One nice gesture means nothing on its own, but a pattern. Flattery that arrived too fast. Favors that come with invisible strings. Concern that slowly shrinks your world. Fights that always end with you apologizing. And kindness that only shows up when someone's watching. A pattern like that tells a story. And you're allowed to trust that story, even if everyone else only sees the nice version. And if any part of this video felt a little too familiar, that's not a coincidence, and it's definitely not something to feel embarrassed about. Manipulation like this works precisely because it's subtle. It works on smart, self-aware, emotionally intelligent people all the time. Recognizing it isn't a sign of weakness. It's actually the first sign that you're starting to see clearly again. So tell me in the comments, which of these 5 signs hit closest to home for you? Sometimes just naming the pattern out loud is the first step toward breaking it. And if this video helped something click for you, there's a related pattern we haven't covered yet. One that shows up after you've already spotted the manipulation. And you're trying to leave. It's called the Hoover, and it's one of the sneakiest tactics of all. We break it all down in the next video, right here. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.